Bonsoir and welcome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I'm going to do my best to also see the chat box while I'm speaking. Okay. All right, so as Stephanie said, I am so excited to spend the evening with you all and tell you all about my organization, Let's Talk Science, Parlons. I'm going to go through a little bit of a slide deck, about 35 minutes of content. I am going to try to pause after each section in case there are any questions. I find it sort of helpful to answer them throughout to help your questions stay relevant. And in case there are any follow-up questions that come right after, we can sort of answer it all while we're thinking about that. But of course, we will have time at the end of the presentation as well. So Stephanie gave a very lovely land acknowledgement. And so in the spirit of everything she shared, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I am situated today in London, Ontario, is the traditional land of the Attawandarons, Anishinaabes, Haudenosaunees, and Lunipiwak peoples. All right, so I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about myself. My contact information is also on this slide. You are welcome to take that. I'm especially excited to speak with this group of people today because French education has played a big part in my life, in my upbringing, and in my life today. So I went to a French immersion school from grade 1 to 5 or grade 1 to grade 12 and chose to continue studying French in university. And I found having that skill to be very helpful in my life. I ended up moving to an area of Quebec later on in my life, something I hadn't foreseen, and the ability to speak French allowed me to hold a job there. It was a very rural area of of Quebec. Sorry, there was not a lot of English in that region, so I was very, very grateful to have the French background that I had. And today, my children actually attend a French school. So I am excited that they are learning the skills that I did as well, and I hope that it will serve them in their life. So my role at Let's Talk Science, as Stephanie mentioned, I work as a school board liaison. So I work with school boards in different regions throughout the country, helping them access our programs, sharing our resources with them, and really building a relationship so that Let's Talk Science can help those school boards achieve their goals. So I would love to know if you wouldn't mind putting it in the chat, sort of why you're here today. So if you are a guardian and you're looking for some extra STEM resources to support your children, or if you are an educator, even if you could just let me know if you're a guardian or an educator, it'll help. It'll help with my language a little bit throughout the presentation, and it'll help me know what to focus on. So if you're comfortable putting that in the chat, that would be wonderful. And while you're doing that, I am going to move on and tell you a little bit more about Let's Talk Science, or Parlons Science. So Let's Talk Science is a national charitable organization that provides engaging STEM-based programs to Canadian students and educators across the country. So our mission is really to help children and youth fulfill their potential, prepare for their future careers, and become engaged citizens. And we do this by supporting their learning and engagement through STEM. So at Let's Talk Science, we strive to offer accessible programs, services, and resources that are diverse, address systemic barriers, and lead to equitable outcomes for our audiences. So a part of our EDIA stance and what we truly believe in is one of the big reasons that we strive to be a fully bilingual organization. We don't want lack of French resources to be a barrier. And I'm just moving over to the chat, and it looks like there's a good mix. I see a lot of parents and guardians, some who love STEM, which is wonderful. And I also see some educators. So this is great. I will say all the programs and resources that I'm going to share with you will be beneficial to educators to use in their class, but also a really great extra resource for parents and guardians. So everything that I'm going to talk about today is available at no cost. So everything is free. Of course, all the programming is bilingual in English and French. We have in-person and online opportunities, and our programming is curriculum aligned. So we have a lot of programming, and I know that it can sometimes feel overwhelming. So today I am going to just touch a little bit on all of these sort of buckets. So I'm going to talk to you briefly about our professional learning offerings. We'll talk about our events and series for students. We'll talk about our projects that happen nationally, our competition series, our online classroom resources, our volunteer outreach program, and then we'll end with a little website tour, just so I can show you how to best use and access our website. So we're going to start with our professional learning. So at Let's Talk Science, we have a team of professionals with years of classroom experience who develop and deliver our professional learning opportunities. So these folks work with STEM professionals, knowledge keepers, and other educators to create all of the professional learning offerings that we have available. So we have some live events, and I'm going to talk a bit more in detail about two of them. We have on-demand learning. So on our website, we have a catalog full of self-paced asynchronous webinars that you can sign up for and do at your own pace. We have group sessions that we run for educators. So we work with a team of teacher leaders, and these are teachers who are actively teaching, who train with us to deliver our professional learning opportunities out in their local community. And then all of our offerings are wrapped into the Learning Pathways program. And the Learning Pathways program is a certification program that we run at Let's Talk Science. So teachers get to choose what different kinds of opportunities they want to take. So like the live events, the on-demand learning, being part of these group sessions, as I mentioned, and slowly earn different badges and micro-credentials so that eventually they can be certified as a Let's Talk Science STEM certified educator. So I am going to start, as I said, by highlighting a few of our live events. So the first event is called Live STEM, or STEM en direct. So Live STEM is an example of job-embedded professional learning. So there's no need, if you're an educator and you want to participate in this, there's no need for a relief staff or a supply staff in order to participate in this offering. You do this with your class during the school day. So during the program, a Let's Talk Science education specialist will guide you and your class, or you and your children, through a co-learning experience. So they're actually with a real class in real time, modeling these easy to implement strategies and doing these different activities that are all designed to reinforce different STEM concepts. So live STEM is recorded. So the broadcast does air live. But if you're unable to attend at the time that it is being aired, as long as you have registered in advance, after the broadcast airs, you'll receive a recording. So you can use that with your class and watch, or with your children and watch it on your own time. So these are a few examples of some of our upcoming live STEM events. When you register for the event, any prep work that needs to be done in advance is indicated there. So if there are any reproducibles that need to be printed or resources that need to be gathered, that's all listed there. And I did want to highlight the live STEM that's happening on March 26th. So this session is actually tailored around one of our national projects. So in a little bit, when I speak to you about projects, I'm going to talk about our Tomatosphere project. And so this broadcast of live STEM has been tailored to sort of give you an introduction to that project. So when we talk about projects, if you think, oh, I'm a little bit interested in Tomatosphere, I'd like to try it out, maybe take a look at this version of Live STEM to get a bit of a taste for what that project is like. All right, so our next live event is Coffee and a Keynote. So Coffee and a Keynote is our webinar series that takes place on Saturday mornings. So we usually host a handful of these every year. We will have 2 more we're planning for the spring. Those dates and the speakers haven't been released yet, but we are hoping to run 2 more this spring. Each of these keynote sessions is hosted by Dr. Alec Kouros, and the keynote is given by an education or STEM professional who will explore different trending STEM topics or education topics and talk about how this can be integrated into the curriculum. So at the moment, Coffee and a Keynote is one of our only programs that we don't have a French session, but our goal is to change that. So I wanted to include this because I wanted everybody to be familiar with Coffee and a Keynote and know what it is, because in the future we do hope to have these available in French as well. And you can actually go and watch past recordings of Coffee and a Keynote through our catalog. So I mentioned we have a catalog full of self-paced courses and webinars that you can log in and access. In that catalog, there's a section called Inspiration Corner, and all of the live STEM all of the Coffee and a Keynote sessions are hosted there. So we're also very lucky that many of our Coffee and a Keynote guests have done a podcast episode with us as well. So if you're looking for some listening and learning sort of on the go, we do have a growing library of Let's Talk Science podcasts featuring these renowned guests who will share their expert information about, as I said, a ton of different really interesting and important educational and global topics. All right, so before we move into the next topic, are there any questions about any of the professional learning opportunities that I mentioned? So somebody asks, as a parent, we would like to know if the school board that our kids are in are partnered with your school program. Would you mind sharing some examples? So we do have lists of all the school boards that have participated with us in different events. So it's a bit of a tricky question. There's a good chance that somebody in your school board has accessed some of our programming, some of our resources. You would have to start by reaching out to the school, or you could even reach out to me privately and I could see what information we could share about that. Are those events, i.e. March 6, are these free or is there a cost? And so there is no cost with any of our programming. So anything I'm going to talk to you about today is completely free. So there's no cost to sign up for any of those. Is it only a curriculum? Is it only a curriculum consultant who can book a live event or participate in the various PD? So everybody is welcome to participate in the various PD. The catalogs, for example, that I mentioned with the asynchronous webinars and the self-paced courses, all you need to access these is an account. So the account at Let's Talk Science requires your name, your email, what school you work at, that kind of thing. Once you have an account, you can register for any of those professional learning opportunities. The in-person sessions that we run with groups of teachers are often organized by a consultant at the board level. With those sessions, the minimum is 15 educators. But we also run these sessions at conferences, for example, and in other contexts. It's not necessarily just with the school board. Will the individual in-person session only located are also available in the GTA? So we have teacher leaders across the country. So we have teacher leaders in different communities across Ontario who can run those. So if you're looking for those in-person PED sessions, if you want to bring one to your school, then please contact me. I can help you get in touch with the right people on our team to plan those. And if you're looking to see what opportunities are available maybe in your community, We do post different things on our website, but again, you're welcome to reach out to me as well. It's not just in London. We have a lot of teacher leaders in the GTA. Okay, thank you for these questions. These are great questions. I'm going to, oh, how about Niagara? We do work, we have teacher leaders in those regions as well. It depends on your board. So if you're asking from an educator perspective, please definitely reach out to me and I can let you know if we are working with any consultants at your board. DSBN, can you tell me what that stands for? I'll wait for you to type that in. Oh, District School Board of Niagara. So we do work with, I'm not sure if we have a teacher leader at the District School Board of Niagara, but I know that we have done work with this school board before. All right, I'm going to move on to the events and series. And then if we have some more questions about professional learning, you're welcome to put them in the chat and then we can also come back to them at the end. Yes, you are going to get the presentation. So now we're moving on to the events and series that we have for students. So these are virtual events that you can register your class or your child to attend. Each event does have a date associated with it, but like our professional learning opportunities, they are recorded. So the first event I'm going to talk about is called STEM Storytime, or Heure du Compte STEM. STEM Storytime is for students in kindergarten to grade 3. During this event, a Let's Talk Science facilitator will read a story and then lead a simple hands-on activity that relates to the story. When you register for the event, you will see a list of materials that are required to participate. The materials are often very simple materials that most schools or even many homes would already have. Things like paper, pencils, scissors, those kind of things. We have STEM story time Tuesdays at 1 p.m. in English and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. in French. So I grabbed a few examples of our STEM story time. So this is what the event card looks like. So it will tell you the title of that STEM story time. In the description, it will tell you which book they're reading, what type of activity they're going to do that goes along with that story. And then, as I said, a list of all the materials that you need to participate. In April, we're actually running a STEM Storytime sort of special. So these are 4 different dates, and all of these events are going to highlight Earth Month. So they all have an Earth Month theme. And if you are interested in participating in this, but the school that you're at or the community that you're in doesn't have access to these materials, we have a form that you can fill out for equity deserving communities. And we have a limited number of kits that we can actually send to you that has all the materials you would need to participate in those 4 sessions. The next event is STEM Club or Club STEM. This is a live webinar series for students in grade 4 to 6. When you register for STEM Club, you are registering for a 6-week cohort. So we have 6 different sessions that take place for roughly an hour once per week for 6 weeks in a row. During STEM Club, a Let's Talk Science facilitator will teach a different STEM concept and then run an activity that relates to that STEM concept. Same as STEM Storytime, when you register, we have a list of each week's activities and any materials that are needed to participate. A fun little thing about STEM Club is that they like to bring in special guests. So these are often students at the post-secondary level who are studying a STEM subject, occasionally even a professional who is working in the STEM field. And during STEM Club, students can ask questions in the chat box, or their teacher can ask questions in the chat box for them, so they can actually interact with the facilitator and ask them questions. Next are our symposiums. Symposiums are for high school students or students in grades 9 to 12. They are interactive sessions that are offered virtually as well as in person at select locations. Symposiums allow students to connect with STEM leaders to explore leading edge topics and issues, as well as different career pathways. Symposiums range in time from an hour, so you could watch them during one class period, to occasionally full day in-person opportunities. I have grabbed a few examples of symposiums that we have coming up. I'll let you look at those. And then that's the end of our events and series. So I'll just see if anybody has any questions. These sessions are run during school hour, any after hours. So all of those virtual events that I spoke about do run during the school day, but they are all recorded. So if you want to register your child to attend and use this program outside of school hours, as long as you register before the event airs, you'll get the recording after and you can watch it after school. We do get people using our STEM club in that way, actually. If there's like an after school STEM club and they want to participate and watch the videos, that's a really great example of they're not during the school day necessarily, but they're still participating in the event. Do these STEM events align with the Ontario curriculum? So they do. They all have curriculum links to them. And often it'll be mention in the description sort of what subject or what topics they're covering so that you can link it to that, to whatever strand you're looking at. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to move on to our projects. So all of our national projects are available on our website. They are free, but you need to register to participate in them. Once you have registered in the project, you will get access to all the lesson plans and all the supporting resources that you need to participate. So we run 6 projects in total. I am going to touch briefly on each of them. If you're looking for a little bit more information on the projects, I'm happy to answer questions, but I'll also show you on the website tour where you can find the projects so that you can read up on them a little bit more. So I'm going to start with a video introducing our Tomatosphere project. All right. So Tomatosphere is our longest running project, and Tomatosphere can be done with students from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. During the project, students will investigate how the exposure to space affects the germination of tomato seeds. So when you register, you are sent 2 sets of tomato seeds, as the video showed. One set has been sent to space, and one set has not. So students will plant the seeds, they'll document and investigate the germination rate, and then depending on which grade you are working with or what age student you're working with, we have lesson plans and extra resources to go along with that. We also have a brand new Tomatosphere Adventure, which is a Minecraft program for students in grade 4 to 10. So during this project, students learn all about biology and space, and get to explore the Minecraft world, but with a bit of a Tomatosphere sort of spin on it. So our next project is Living Space, and I do have a short video to introduce this one as well.
Hi, I'm David Saint-Jacques, I'm an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency. During my mission, Let's Talk Science and the Canadian Space Agency are partnering to invite classrooms all over Canada to participate in a new educational project. This is how it'll work. While I'm in space, you'll monitor the environment in your classroom and investigate how environmental factors influence your mental and physical health. Your measurements and data will be fed into a national data set, which you will have access to, so you'll be able to compare with data from other locations across Canada, as well as with my data on the International Space Station. You'll also be asked to look for solutions and make changes to your environment, and then to measure the impact of these changes on your well-being. If you ask me, it's a fantastic opportunity for you to be part of Canada's next space mission, and at the same time, you can work on computational thinking skills and coding. So, want to do science on Earth while I do science in space? Maybe we can even trade notes. Check out the Let's Talk Science website to find out how your classroom can participate.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So, Living Space, or Espace Vivant, is a project for students in grades 6 to 9. During this project, students will gather data on the environmental conditions in their classroom. So they will gather information on CO2 levels, relative humidity, temperature, and then they'll take steps to improve that data. So when Living Space was first created, there were really strong space links to the project. So students could compare the conditions in their classroom to the conditions of astronauts living on the International Space Station. They can still submit their data, but in the past year or so, this project has really had a big revamp to focus on climate change and how our environment impacts our health. So now students can code a microbit and use a sensor to gather all that data and really talk about how these conditions are affecting their health and their daily life. Okay, so now our next project is called Clothing for Climate, and I'll show you another video. Okay, so Clothing for Climate, La Mode pour le Monde, is for students in grades 7 to 12. In this project, students discover the environmental impacts of our clothing system and choices, and then they take action to try and address these environmental impacts, either by changing their own habits or influencing others to change their habits. So this project has a lot of voice and choice for students. We have a student-facing website that students can access and look through themselves to learn about different aspects of the clothing system and industry and decide which action they want to take to make a difference. Our next project is Travel for Climate, or En route pour le climat. So during this project, students will explore their community's transportation situation and identify needs and opportunities, calculate greenhouse gas emissions from various transportation methods, discover emerging technologies and their potential impacts on the environment, then develop different critical thinking and problem-solving skills while creating a future-focused, innovative local transportation plan. And this project is intended more or less so for students in grade 10. It aligns most closely with this curriculum. So our next project is the Lunar Rover Research Challenge. This project is structured as a collaborative board game or digital game. So students are guided through the process of designing a lunar rover mission to find frozen water at the South Pole of the Moon. This project was run as a national competition. So when we first launched it, students worked in teams to win the opportunity to drive a canadensis lunar rover in a mock lunar environment, which was really, really cool. The competition is not currently running, but it is still available to run as a project. So while we hope to bring the competition back maybe in the future, if you're still interested in this, all of the lesson plans and resources that you need to run this project are still available on our website. And the Lunar Rover Research Challenge is for students in grades 6 to 9. And then our last project, and this is our newest project, is called Mission Innovation. And it just officially launched this fall. The goal of Mission Innovation is to develop students' skills and competencies in order to become genuine innovators. So the project is intended for students in grades 7 to 10. During the project, the educator or the parent can choose one of 2 real-world case studies. So each case study includes a chart displaying how it is aligned to the curriculum. Once they have chosen their case study, the students and the teacher work through 5 lesson plans, which takes you through the design thinking process to help students create their own prototype that addresses the problem that was presented in their case study. So these are the 2 case studies that we have available. They both have a strong climate focus, and they're both sort of real world issues that people are dealing with in different parts of not just the world, but of our country. Okay, so before we move on to the next section, are there any questions about any of the projects? I see someone said Let's Talk Science is a website to create an account to register kids for the STEM program. So I think, are you asking if on our website we can create the account to register for the programs? And the answer is yes. You do need to create an account in order to register for any of those. Even if you're registering your child or your student for any of those virtual events or any of the projects that I have just mentioned, you do need an account, and you can make that on our website. Anytime you go to sign up or register for one of our events, if you don't have an account, it will prompt you to make one. Okay. So we'll move on to our competition series. So we run 2 different competition series at Let's Talk Science. The first is the Let's Talk Science Challenge, or the Défi Parlons Science. Before the pandemic, the Let's Talk Science Challenge existed as this one-day big event where teams of students in grades 6 to 8 would come together after having studied from our handbook for a few months. They would come together in person and participate in this one full day competition that includes different trivia questions, different engineering and design challenges. It was a big day full of costumes and cheers and a lot of fun. That all had to go virtual during the pandemic, of course. And we did our best to sort of provide that same sort of atmosphere in a virtual setting. Now you can choose either. So we do have virtual Let's Talk Science Challenge dates that you can sign up for. But also we do have many in-person locations that are running the challenge again. So we released the handbook in February, and the challenge dates are usually in early spring going into late spring, so maybe in April and May. So students spend a few months studying. We have weekly online quizzes that they can practice, and then they come together at the end for the competition date. The second competition series that we run is called Let's Talk Careers, or Le Concours Parlons Carrière. This is for students in grades 6 to 12. When you register either your child or your students for this competition, they are then sent a daily quiz. The quiz has 10 questions, and each question has a research button attached to it. So once students follow that button, it will take them to a website where they can find the answer to that question. And the websites that they're visiting are different higher education, career option websites, different labor and job market websites. So students are exploring hundreds of different pathways and career opportunities that they may have never considered before. And schools with the highest ranking, as well as individual students with the highest ranking, can win cash prizes and cash bursaries. So we're running our spring session, or our spring edition of this competition, starting on April 14th. All right. So before we move on to our next one, I do see that there's a question about I think this is the Let's Talk Science Challenge, asking if there are any in person in Ontario, in Vaughan specifically. So on our website, if you go to the Let's Talk Science Challenge, there is a list of all of the in-person locations and what date they're running it, as well as any of the virtual dates. So I'm now going to talk about our volunteer outreach program. So I've mentioned a few times that we partner with different universities and other post-secondary institutions across the country. We actually have partnerships with over 50 post-secondary institutions. And they run what is called our volunteer outreach program. So these are run entirely by student volunteers. These students are often studying STEM subjects themselves. And they come together to create different workshops that they then go out into their local communities, into schools, and they run for students. So teachers can request that they come into their classroom and run one of these sessions. Sometimes they'll run events on campus, and they'll invite classes or communities to come to campus for campus tours or other events. It's also very common for them to be involved in different community events or festivals. So the volunteer outreach program is actually how Let's Talk Science started as an organization. So we're very, very proud of this program and all the really hardworking volunteers, and what a big difference they make in their communities and in their local schools. So if you're a teacher and you're interested in having a volunteer come into your classroom, we have a form on our website that you can go and fill out. It's called Request a Volunteer. And you would just indicate your name, what school you're at, what sort of topics you're looking into, and then the volunteer outreach sites will reach out to you with their availability. Next up is our classroom resources. So on our website, we offer a vast digital library of curriculum-aligned, ready-to-use resources. So these include things like lesson plans that have been fully developed, background articles, videos, image banks, hands-on activities, so many different things that are found on the website, not behind a login wall. So almost everything else we've spoke about up to this point in time, you do need to register for. Our classroom resources are just available on the website for anybody to access. You can search through the website by curriculum, by grade level, or by keyword, and I will show you how to do that once we get to the website tour. I did take a few screen grabs, just so you can sort of have an idea of what that looks like. So you pick the province that you're working with, the grade level, the course. You can put in as many details as of the subject or the type of resource that you're looking for. And then all the resources that we have on our website that relate to that search will come up. So there'll be different things. Sometimes they're career profiles, sometimes they're lesson plans, sometimes they're projects that are aligned with what you searched for. Tons of different resources will become available. We're also very, very passionate about career discovery and career awareness at Let's Talk Science. So we have a whole section of our website dedicated to different career resources. There you can find over 700 career profiles. So these are real people that we've interviewed to learn about their jobs. So sometimes these jobs are very overtly STEM careers, maybe like an engineer or a doctor. Sometimes there's somebody who owns, for example, a makeup business, and they'll talk about how they needed STEM skills in order to get where they are. They'll also talk about the different education pathways that they took to get to where they are. We also have a few different videos, and I'm going to show you an example of one of our video series about careers, and we have lesson plans for teachers to use as well. So this is an example of one of those career profiles that I mentioned. So they're a little bit interactive. Students can go through and read the different sections. They're very, very student-facing. And then this is an example of one of our career video series. So I will play it. The series is called That's a Real Job.
Artificial intelligence is all around us. Smart homes, self-driving cars, virtual assistants, healthcare. The question is, as AI becomes more integrated in our lives, will we be better off than we are today? Who keeps all this tech in check? That's where an AI ethical counselor comes in. They'll make sure new technologies and applications put people first and make the world a better place. AI ethical counselor. Yes, that's a real job. Let's talk science.
I love those video series. There's a few different ones and they're very interesting. We have a couple other career-focused video series as well. There's a different series where it's like a 360 of a different STEM field, where students can sort of, it feels like they're on the job site. They can learn about what people do in their job on a daily basis. They're very interesting. And then last but certainly not least, I did want to mention that Let's Talk Science has a few books that we have authored. There are some novels. There are also some more, like this first book about insects is more like photography and information about insects. They're all bilingual, so all 3 of the books are sort of 2 in 1. So one side is French and then the reverse is English. The insect book are 2 separate books, but they're available in French or English. They're also available as ebooks. So you can go on the website today if you wanted and register for the ebook and you get access to it right away. Or we also have lots of different times of the year where we give away different sets of these books. Okay, so before we get into any more questions, this page here will bring you to our newsletters. So we have a few different newsletters. On the left is our Classroom Connection newsletter. This is the French version, but I can put the English version in as well if you'd like to sign up for one or both of them. So that is for the English newsletter for teachers. On the right is the STEM at Home newsletter. I will put the link for the English STEM at Home as well. And these are really, really great ways to stay in the know about different and upcoming programming that we have. We'll send reminders if we have deadlines for registering coming up, or if we have a new program or a new offering coming up, we will put them in these newsletters as well. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the website, but before we go to the website, are there any questions about the volunteer outreach program or those resources that I shared at the end of the slide deck? Someone asked if all resources are French and English. They are. I'll show you on the website how you can switch the website back and forth between French and English. All right. If there are any questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat box, but I think I'll move over to the website so I can share a few things with you on there. Right, so this is just www.letstalkscience.ca. On the top right hand here, it's currently in English, but we can also go through the website in French. It's the same website, but all of the events are available in French. All of the resources are available in French. You don't need to translate it. So I'll start by going through the English one. I want to first highlight the all programming page. This is a really easy way to go through all of the programming that we have available on our website. It follows a very similar format to the slide deck that I showed you today. So all of the programs are sort of lumped together in a way that I spoke about them. So we have all the events and series that are currently available listed, then all of the projects that we spoke about, the competition series, resources and support, and then our professional learning programs. So this is a really, really great way if you're looking for a program that you saw about it in our newsletter or I spoke about today and you wanted to go and register. If you go to the all programming, everything will be available there. The next thing I'd like to show you is how to use our classroom resources. So if you go to educators and then go to resources by curriculum, this is the area that I showed you on the website where I grabbed a screen grab. So you can pick the province that you're in and the grade that you're teaching, the course. You can pick the topic if you'd like to go in and pick the strand, or sorry, the topic, you can. And then once you apply the search, any of our resources that are linked to that will come up. So that's one way that you can search through our resources. You can also search through the resources, excuse me, by the type of resource that they are. So if you know that you want a hands-on activity, or you know you want a lesson plan, or you know you want a different article of some sort, you can just bypass that search function and then scroll down, and all of our resources are lumped together by the type of resource that they are. So there's the hands-on activities, lesson plans, backgrounders, STEM explained. So if you click on them, they're all available there. So they'll tell you here you can pick which province you're in, and it will tell you how the resource is linked to the curriculum. I think I think everybody on this call is located in Ontario. So we actually got a bit of funding from the Ontario government to create a landing page for grade 1 to 8 science and how it's related to the Ontario curriculum. So if you are looking for resources from grade 1 to grade 8 in Ontario, you can just go right under the search tab here for lessons for Ontario curriculum. Slowly loading. No, that's okay. It's not going to load. I don't have to show it to you. But it is laid out very clearly. You can pick, you just click on the grade, you can pick grade 2, you pick the strand, and then all the resources we have that are linked to that specific strand of the curriculum will come up, and they are hyperlinked to the resource. So you can just click on them and it will take you right to that resource. Okay, those were the main things I wanted to show you. I showed you where you can find the projects on the all programming page. So if you're looking to read up a little bit more on the projects, that's a really great place to start. Now it's come up. Here's the Ontario curriculum page. So again, you can pick your grade, your strand, and then all of our resources that we have that link to it. And we don't necessarily have a resource for every single section of the curriculum, but any of them that we have will come up there and you can follow the hyperlink. Okay, so I think with that, I'll stop sharing, and then we have a few more minutes for questions if there are any.
Thank you, Tamara. Wow, absolutely wonderful. Thank you for such an informative and inspiring. Also, my head is spinning.
It's a lot of It's a lot
It's a
of
lot of information, but in a
information.
very good way. And thank you for breaking it down in all the various sections. And I'm so impressed with all the work of Let's Talk Science and the
Oh, thank
immense,
you.
access to all those incredible resources. So I'm looking forward to digging a little bit deeper myself after our evening and
Thank you.
continuing to learn more. So thank you. So yeah, I think, if this is a
So,
time for more questions, and I like that you had also the opportunity to
yeah.
answer questions throughout your presentation.
And there were a lot of questions throughout the presentation. So thank
Right,
you everybody so much
right.
participating in the chat box. I really appreciate that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I think I just want to say thank you again, Tamara. Thank you to all our participants this evening. You will be getting a copy of the presentation and of this recording. Thank you very much. If you would like to learn more about some upcoming events at Canadian Parents for French Ontario, and also access to various resources that we have readily accessible and available for free, check our website at www.on.cpf.ca. So thank you, and wishing everyone a wonderful reminder of your evening. So again, thank you very much, everyone. Good night. Bonsoir.